Hey, what's up, y'all? So, somebody wants to know about living in the past. He says, I think it would be cool to do a video on how to reconcile with your past, forgive yourself, and move on in order to truly live in the present. Uh, I could really appreciate something like that. Um, Something like this. It's because I have experience with living in the past. Um, and that's depression. Depression won't let you leave those things alone, leave the past alone, and then we let the past depict our future, and anxiety surfaces. Anxiety shows its face, and you get to know that. But me personally, and I don't consider myself to be elite in that regard, but I'm just kind of really resourceful, especially as somebody who doesn't necessarily come from money. You know what I'm saying? Not somebody who, had their, problems fixed a lot by others, even though I did get bailed out. I'm forced to see things for what they are. Oh, but I'm sorry. I meant to get back to me being resourceful. I rely on cheap but beneficial remedies for my problems. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with matters of the mind, yes, it does help to see a psychologist, to see a therapist. It does help to do sensory deprivation, but sensory deprivation is pretty expensive. Seeing a therapist, I don't know if you could always swing it. If it's a matter of life and death, fine. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where insurance companies stand on mental health, admittedly. But even if you don't want to go that route, because you're maybe stubborn and lazy like me, then you can do some of the things that I do that actually forces me to be present. Because in the, in the question, it was basically speaking to that, you know, wanting to live in the present. So, okay, so how do we live in the present? Well, by giving ourselves something to focus on. You know what I'm saying? If you get bored, your mind is going to wander. You know what I'm saying? But when you are really entrenched, you know, immersed in a particular thing, it has your attention. If you see a fine woman walking down the street, and if you're driving like myself, and I've done this, you might swerve a little bit because your focus, was altered by something that, you deem to be worth focusing on. You know what I'm saying? Even more than your own personal health. Even more than my own personal health. So you have to give yourself new and interesting things to incorporate in your life. The monotony, although I'm not totally against monotony and routine, the monotony will have you drifting off and thinking about other things. The monotony of your relationship will have you looking to cheat, looking for you to, it's going to make your eyes wander. It may. But, if you find a way to keep things spicy in any event, keep things fresh, then you're less likely to let your mind wander. All right. So, but, you may be somebody, because it's not uncommon you may be somebody who has a short attention span. An attention span shorter than a goddamn goldfish. But with that being said, there are certain tactics that can help you focus. Like, if you saw the video that I did with Ebony Lambert, she was talking about how the school was trying to get her son on drugs, because he had ADD, ADHD, whichever one. And the similar situation for my stepson. She just started doing yoga with him, and his focus, changed. His focus got better. And then she started teaching it at the school. So, this is why I do meditation. I don't do yoga. But I feel like I'm going in that direction. It just seems like the gradual thing to do for me, to have spent so much time in the meditation world and spending time in the fitness world. I think it's definitely time that I find which yoga is like the bridge. Yoga is the bridge between your spiritual and your physical. And when I say that, I meant it in a vague sense, but I also meant it in the sense of combining working out with meditating. So it's as simple as that. And if I had to give any other advice when it comes to leaving the past alone, you have to cut out, some of your past behaviors. And, history, 5 seconds ago is history. You know what I'm saying? So, the things that you are actually currently doing, but like, for example, let's say I smoke cigarettes all the time, and I just smoked another cigarette. Well, I'm not smoking anymore, so it's behind me. So if I find a way to not do these things that I don't want to do, it's not a part of me. It's only a part of me if I build my identity around it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you may be this person, or people who are like that, but somebody who smokes a lot of weed, you watch them go from, who they were or whatever. You go from, smoking. You watch somebody go from not smoking weed to smoking weed, and then like they build their identity around that. So then they start buying clothes with weed logos on it, and Bob Marley posters, all those things. And I almost forgot where I was going with that, but yeah. So you see them. They build their identity around this, and then when they decide to quit, when they decide to stop smoking weed, then they have to find their identity, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you just don't feel like yourself, and ultimately, when you thought you wanted to quit, you found your way back there. And so, just when you decide to put things behind you, understand that that's not you. And I know that it sounds very easy, and maybe I have a way of making things sound a lot easier than they are. But just making that decision, because a lot of the reason why we can't see change and leave things behind us is because we're so indecisive. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't leave this particular person alone because we're not too sure if our story is done, as opposed to calling it quits. So, I can definitely relate to that. So you gotta decide, and you gotta replace your bad habits that you want to leave behind with great habits. So I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody who was addicted to cigarettes and end up being addicted to sugar once they stop smoking cigarettes. Which is the lesser of the evils. Some might say, but if both lead you to the same casket, who's to say which is worse? But you may see them go from that to a sugar addiction, or you may see them go from any addiction to fitness or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Just doubling up on fitness, tripling up. And, that keeps them sustained. So now you got to find that thing in your life that's really messing you up. Like, is it jerking off? Like, are you jerking off all the goddamn time and then you don't have enough energy for your goals? You don't have enough willpower. You don't feel like a man. Then you got to do things about it. Like, do something about it. Do the things that's going to make you feel like a man. And what would make you feel like a man? Working out when you wake up, getting up when you don't want to get up. Things of that variation. Like, once you realize what's wrong in your life and what you want, then you can start researching towards that. Picking other people's brains for that information, because what you are experiencing may not be all that uncommon. Chances are most of what you experience, somebody else has also experienced. The goal for you is to put it into words. So you get it you get it in the words. That way you can be as kind of zeroed in as possible on a potential question. And, everybody's looking for the answer. You read self-helps for the answer. You get on YouTube for the answer. And what we don't realize is that the question is equally important, if not more. It really redirects your focus and it can enable you to look in a direction that you've never looked before, simply because you're questioning. Now, if every day you ask the question on Google, what's the weather? What's coming on today? You're going to keep getting the same results. Sorry, not the same results, but you're going to keep going to the same source, basically. You're going to be looking in the same fish bowl for the same fish. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a particular weather app, it's already in your history, you go there. You'll always be searching for that. But when you start asking questions you never asked before, when you go to a web, and when you go to Google or whatever, it's not going to be in the search history. You even got to type it all the way out, probably, and unless their suggestions pop up before you finish typing it. But where was it? Oh yeah, but so you'll have to type in something new, and then you're going to get new results. You're going to end up reading things that you never read before. You know what I'm saying? And and that's my 2 cents, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. Y'all take care. In fact, I can't stop it yet. Where are you? All right,